A very good morning and a warm welcome to one and all present over here, teachers. Thank you so much for joining on another Super Sunday workshop. And this time we are getting into the details of social and emotional learning, an important topic that we would have got an exposure towards to from Benjamin Bloom's taxonomy. When Benjamin Bloom spoke about knowledge, skills, and attitude in a scientific manner, called as the cognitive domain, the psychomotor domain, and the affective domain. Today's session is going to be more oriented towards the affective domain part that we would have got some exposure to probably during the BEd days or every academic year when there is a training on Benjamin Bloom's taxonomy. Yeah. So today we are going to talk about this special aspect of emotions and emotional learning and how do we manage our emotions, etc., to quite some extent, and then get into the details of what exactly SEL is in terms of implementing it in the school. In fact, there has been multiple circulars by CBSE in order to reduce the burden on the students or in order to enhance the mental well-being of the children, have some counselors in the school. It became, in fact, a mandatory. Many schools even now have got the counselors, and many of them are present in the session as well, if I'm not wrong. So today's session is somewhere addressing that particular area. And at the same time, this particular session was recently conducted by CBSE as well, in regards to World Mental Health Week that starts from 4th October to 10th October. So this the focus on mental well-being throughout the globe has actually nurtured multiple sessions across. There are many organizations which speak about social and emotional learning, and we're going to talk about some of them in today's session, including CBSE for that matter. We'll try to see some snippets of the videos if possible in today's session and see how it can be addressed and implemented in our day-to-day life in the school practices. 1 minute. I hope you're able to hear me. And if not, then please put it on the chat. I'll be checking on the chat. So here we go, teachers. I would like to share my screen. And today we also have an interesting session or a quick expert talk with an SEL practitioner and educator as well for that matter. And I would like to thank all the computer science educators who have been regularly participating, and especially the Kolkata chapter. Thank you for coming. All those schools, Aditya Academy, Mahadevi Birla Sishu Vihar, then Techno India Group, multiple other schools as well. Aggression. I'm not able to put everything. Birla High School, Mukundapur, but still, Shikshayatan School. Thank you so much for joining on CSGM's workshop. One last physical session is going to happen in Delhi on 9th October in IIT Delhi. I would like to all the participants who are there in that region would request you to please drop in, and we'll ensure that there's a good session on teaching how to teach computer science. So social and emotional learning, and this Super Sunday workshop, I think it's 81st workshop. We have completed around 80 workshops, and this is the 81st workshop. And we have already touched social emotional learning a little bit in the last academic year itself, but this time it's going to get into a little more detail. In fact, as we spoke about, this is going to be Benjamin Bloom's affective domain, where we have receiving, responding, valuing, organizing, and characterizing. Just like the way we have remember, understand, analyze, apply. No, I think apply and then analyze, and then evaluate and create. We have got a certain hierarchy for the cognitive domain. Similarly, psychomotor has got perception, set, and then guided response, then complex overt response. I think then mechanism and then origination. That's for psychomotor domain. And in similar lines, in Benjamin Bloom's taxonomy, affective domain talks about everything that you receive from the external surrounding. Right in the morning when you wake up, if the weather is beautiful, if it's really nice, that kind of affects your mood as well. The moment you have, you meet someone that's really special after a very long time, that kind of affects your mood to a very large extent. So everything that affects us emotionally comes under the category of affective domain. So the first thing under the hierarchy is actually receiving. It's an external influence of thoughts. I mean, your mood depends on external factors. In fact, right after receiving, you start responding according to that. Yeah. So it's like when you wake up in the morning or when you go to the school, the first period was quite interesting. The students responded very well. That kind of sets the energy for the complete day. And based on that, your further classes become a little more interesting or a little more enthusiastic in comparison to any other day. Probably that's called as responding. Then we start associating to all those responses under a certain category called as value system, which is called as valuing. That is why sometimes when there are two choices given in a life, you prioritize one of them That's because of the value system that we have. And that comes under the category of organizing. Regular organization of such kind of practices comes or becomes our character. So that's with respect to the affective domain. And kind of not really present in the lesson plan on a regular basis, but the social and emotional learning skills that we're talking about, or more like, as we all know, social and emotional learning competencies that we're talking about, comes under affective domain, which can be part of the lesson plan also. How, where, when, and why? Let's understand that one by one. So here in this case, I would like to show the circular to you. See, so this happened just now, 30th September 2024, enhancing mental health support in educational settings through collaboration and leadership. So, in observance of World Mental Health Week, that is 4th October to 10th October, and following the successful National Counselors Conclave on shaping the landscape of well-being in schools. In fact, there was a very good, I think more than 4,000 people participated live in a CBSE workshop where it was the discussion of some of the counselors discussing on their regular experiences and what as a teacher uh, all of us can do when we identify some lacunas or gaps among the students suddenly while they are there in the learning process. How do we report it to counselors, things like that. It was an amazing session. I would request you to please go through it, and I can share the link right after the session. So here in this case, CBC is organizing another virtual conclave on 4th October, which just happened. This initiative is a part of broader effort to promote mental health awareness and support within school communities across the country. Keeping this in mind, we thought this time social and emotional learning could be one of the best topics. I hope I'm there in alignment with the government of India. Absolutely, to a large extent. So, the moment we talk about the policies, I think most of us remember this, right, teachers? According to the National Curriculum Framework, multiple NCF had come. One was for the foundational stage. Then they said that foundational stage is more from the perspective of students who are at primary classes or early childhood education. Suddenly, there came another document called as National Curriculum Framework, foundational stage ke baad school education, which was predominantly, of course, from grade 1 till grade 12, which was related to SEN, NCF, named as SE, school education. And then there's National Curriculum Framework for adult education, and then National Curriculum Framework for teacher education. Teacher education even spoke about teacher standards, and we covered that in one of our sessions in the past. I hope you go through that as well. The playlist is completely available on the YouTube channel. Now, uh, a good question, Sheetal ma'am. So you can get information to all these conferences and regular workshops under CBSE website. You're supposed to go to the archives or basically the circulars, which is present on top left corner. Click on that every morning, just like the way we read newspaper. If you could have that as bookmarked and check what are the latest sessions that are happening, you'll be able to participate in them. Yeah, yeah. Just like the way I'm announcing here, in Super Sunday Workshop WhatsApp group or Telegram channel or under the website, you keep checking that, right? On a similar note, if you could check the CBSE website, on the top left corner, you will find circulars from where you could actually get to know all these information. Uh, with respect to ICSE, also, Council keeps on announcing circulars. That is also present in the Council website. The number of sessions are not as high as CBSE. CBSE bombards 1 lakh circulars in one day, if I'm not wrong. I'm just exaggerating, for the sake of. But the fact is, that's how you can get updated. In fact, some schools regularly receive it in the CBSE Siksha mail ID. If the principals could forward it to all the teachers, it'll be great. Anyways, according to National Curriculum Framework, both the documents in foundational school education, they say that when a child is born, they undergo 5 domains of development. In fact, this is also mentioned in terms of the Upanishad document called as Panchakosha. I'm going to go through it, but before that, uh, these are physical development. As the child grows, they physically get developed. Yeah, they grow. In fact, one of the points was I don't know if you can try this, it'll be great. When a baby is born, probably till 1.5 years of age, the child will not be able to touch both their palms like this on their head like that. It'll just come till here. They try hard, but that doesn't really get touched. If you want, you can try that with your children if they are there under that particular category. But that was so interesting and fascinating to know that suddenly by 1 year, 2 months, and 3 months when they touch, it's kind of like an achievement, like a milestone touched under physical development. Nice, right? So that's with respect to physical development. Right after that is cognitive development, their intellectuality, which is directly dependent on the external factors and the environment that the parents create. For example, activities to inculcate, I would say, logical reasoning, They call some, like they have to stacking toys. You remember we spoke about toy based pedagogy, under which we spoke about indigenous toys, you know, which does not really have any electronic components in it. Those help the students to develop, cognitively to a large extent. Their reasoning becomes sharp, and by 3 years or 5 years of age, they become really intellectual under this category. So for that, as much exposure to toys that does not have really any battery as such is kind of encouraged. You can see many parenting sessions. One of the parenting sessions that we had was Heartful Parenting by, I think, Saman Vita ma'am, if I'm not wrong. We had, and today we have Susan ma'am as well. Not from parenting perspective as such, but SEL practitioner. Let's see that. Let's see that. Next is language development. Language development is also, in fact, a child can learn around 18 to 20 languages by the time the child turns 8 years of age. They can learn so many languages. However, having said that, it is also important for a child to establish one primary language that's like the mother language with which the thought process functions. It's said that a language plays an important role, which will also be part of another Super Sunday workshop. It plays an important role in our thought process. Language determines emotions as well. How does it matter? I mean, how is language related to the culture or the bringing up of a particular child is an amazing science, which we will talk a little later in some other session. And this was even spoken in one of the TED Talks about languages dying. And luckily now technology has come into picture where you could, 1 minute.
Teachers, could you please confirm if you're able to hear me clearly? I hope, please, I hope you're able to hear me clearly, teachers. Could you please confirm on the chat that you're able to hear me clearly? Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Lovely. So now when we talk about the language, we will talk about also in that. Session, we're going to talk about socio-emotional development. Socio-emotional development is about students getting engaged with fellow human beings. In fact, it's just a lame observation. This doesn't have any scientific backing. But children at 1 or 2 years, whoever I got exposed to, they kind of get along with ladies really nicely. I'm talking about my son over here. But with gents, it takes a little time. Maybe because they've got beard or they look little, I would say like a beast. I'm talking about myself over here. But the point over here is it's just a general observation. But once they get along with people, they kind of become very comfortable. And this was also considered as a problem during the pandemic situation that children were not really exposed to people across, and they were not comfortable in interacting with anybody and everybody. So then, right after the pandemic, there were multiple sessions conducted by the schools in order to encourage students talking to others. A lot of socializing, this and that. But today we're not only going to talk about social interactions, but also emotional behavior coming under the category of socio-emotional development. And finally, what is right and what is wrong. That's again very critical, because after a certain age, the students try to perceive on what's right and wrong by themselves based on the values they formed during their early childhood days. Yeah. So let's understand moral development as well. Okay. 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 Voice is breaking and there's an echo. Okay. Some distraction in between. So unfortunately, the mic, I can see that over here. It's kind of, is it comparatively better? I hope so. It's comparatively better, teachers. If not, then I will have to change the complete headphones. So sorry. So sorry. For the last two sessions, I'm continuously troubling everybody with my poor audio. Really sorry. Okay, you can manage. Okay, let's go over here. So here in this case, Panchakosha Vikas. So five-fold development, a keystone in India's traditional about how we develop. So here in this case, according to the Upanishad document, it speaks about the child is a whole being with Panchakoshas or five sheets. And they don't really talk about development over here. They say that we are made up of 5 layers. So first one is the physical layer, the body. Second is pranamaya layer. This annamaya kosha is called as a physical layer. Pranamaya kosha is life force energy, the energy that we carry, the soul that they talk about, right? Then we have manomaya kosha. That's something that has to do everything with mind. Consciousness, something like that. The Vijnanamaya Kosha is intellectual layer, which is about reasoning, thought process, decision making. Then Anandmaya Kosha is inner self, speaking to yourself, which comes under the category of metacognition. I think some of you know that, right? So all these are taken from the Upanishad document, and this has been used as a reference to write the 5 domains of development, even in the national curriculum framework. The holistic development of a child takes into account the nurturing and nourishment of these 5 layers. So the point over here is the domains of development is directly related to the Panchakosha. And here in this case, whatever we are going to speak today, this has got everything to do with Panchakosha in the past, but presented by a Western country right now. So by it's basically a nice website. It has got a lot of good things. We're going to talk about it. So basically, SEL helps to understand ourselves, connect with others, achieve our goals, and support communities. That's it. This is the purpose of living according to that particular website. So we're talking about CASEL, CASEL, and I'm going to show you right now. So social and emotional learning is a lifelong process of developing skills that help us to be successful in school and all parts of our lives, such as communicating effective, building relationships, working through challenges, and making decisions that benefit ourselves and others. So the term is also often used to describe how we help students learn and practice these skills in supportive environments. This is kind of a definition that might not be really so connecting, but this will definitely be connecting. Please watch this brief video, teachers, and give you a very good insight on what SEL is all about right in the beginning. For that, I would like to share my screen along with the audio, and I think now you'll be able to hear it clearly. Please watch this.
Think about in your lives and all the different places where they're learning about themselves, how to relate to others, and work together on goals. How can we intentionally create learning experiences that will help all young people develop and maintain positive relationships, become lifelong learners, and contribute to a more caring, just world? Educators, researchers, community members, families, and the students themselves agree what we need is social and emotional learning, or SEL. SEL is the process through which young people and adults acquire and apply the knowledge, skills, and attitudes that help us to understand ourselves, connect with others, achieve our goals, and support our communities. We all need opportunities to learn and engage in environments where we feel safe, valued, and a sense of belonging. So how does SEL help schools, families, and communities work together so that all young people have these kinds of learning experiences and achieve success in education, careers, and life? CASEL's framework identifies 5 areas of competence that together help us develop a healthy sense of who we are, manage stress, understand the views of others, and work together to create schools and communities where everyone can grow their strengths and interests. Self-awareness is about how we think about ourselves and who we are. It includes understanding our culture, our thoughts, feelings, and what we believe we're capable of, and understanding how these things can influence our behaviors and beliefs. Self-management is the ability to manage those emotions, thoughts, and actions in different situations so that we can achieve individual and collective goals. This includes coping with stress and anxiety, persevering through challenges, and taking action to create positive change. Social awareness is how we understand others, how we learn to take different perspectives and empathize, even with people who are different from us. It also includes understanding how the broader norms and systems around us influence how we develop and create a sense of belonging. Relationship skills are how we connect and engage effectively with others, and how we form lasting friendships and connections. This includes communicating clearly, solving problems together, managing conflict and disagreements, and standing up for ourselves and the rights of others. Lastly, responsible decision-making is how we put it all together to make caring and constructive choices. This includes thinking critically about consequences, analyzing the impact of our actions on ourselves and others, and identifying solutions that support our collective well-being. We continue to develop and practice SEL throughout our lives and can adapt and apply these competencies across different contexts and cultures. How we develop SEL is impacted by our environment, which is why we need to work together across classrooms, schools, families, and communities. In the classroom, students can be explicitly taught SEL skills and also can practice and apply SEL during core subjects, like discussing different perspectives in social studies and language arts, or collaboratively problem solving in science or math. SEL is most effective when supported by evidence-based programs and trusting relationships where students are treated as partners in their learning. Beyond the classroom, SEL can be intentionally promoted throughout the school experience, from the way they're greeted in the morning to how discipline practices are carried out and how adults themselves develop and model positive relationships and the SEL competencies. Outside of school, families and caregivers provide the earliest and ongoing learning and interactions for their children, so it's important that schools listen to and authentically partner with families to help shape SEL priorities and strategies for supporting their children. Similarly, when schools partner with community organizations to align their efforts, SEL opportunities can be strengthened and students benefit even more. With SEL, we can help create schools and learning spaces where all young people feel connected, inspired, engaged, and ready to contribute to the world around them.
Great. So that's a very small video talking about SEL, but actually giving the complete insights on what SEL is all about and what are its five competencies according to them. So I would be sharing the video link as you've asked, and I would like to share that with you right now rather than pushing it a little later. Otherwise, last time also I missed, and some of you had written in the feedback that I don't share the videos. I'm really sorry for that. We can share the complete presentation itself, teachers. If anybody's interested, you can just put it on the reflection form or you can directly message me and you will have it. So the link is over here. I am putting it to everyone. That's the video. Okay. Let's quickly get on to the session with the next part. I hope my audio is comparatively better right now. So these are the five competencies that SEL was actually talking about. And for that, you should be able to see my screen in another. So basically, CASEL is a collaborative for academic, social, and emotional learning, and it's an organization. Multiple countries collaborate over here and they try to implement SEL in almost all the schools in that respective countries, in those respective countries. Now, I would like to quickly show you those five areas, and then we'll quickly jump on to talk to our expert speaker today. And for this, I would like to share the screen. I think you're able to see this. And here we go. So the first thing over here is when we talk about social and emotional learning, the key competency that begins basically, you should be aware about yourself. And that's why they call it as self-awareness. And when you're aware about yourself, you'll be able to manage yourself, which comes under self-management, which then continues to the social awareness and relationship skills. So these are the four areas which is about yourself and your dependency on external factor. One nice point that I really like is people say that you should not, be really worried about what the other person sees and lead a life that you think is absolutely right. So that's actually perceived in not really in the right form. In SEL, they very clearly mentioned that our existence is extremely, not our individuality. It's kind of dependent on external factors. So your parents influence your thought process, your friends influence your thought process. Whatever you do in your life, it has got a certain influence in the environment that you live in or where you brought up. So it's very difficult for a person to say that, you know, I am all by myself. No, that can never happen. So that's why self-awareness and social awareness both are very important. And in fact, the moment you understand that, key competency or that you have in any, automatically things, you become grounded. You become more humble in nature. You become more, the humility in you actually increases multifolds. So I really like that particular part. I'll be showing that to you. And then finally, once you're aware about yourself and the social, aspects, then it's all about the decision making skills, how responsible you are. Now, these competencies has to be inculcated in the classroom, the regular classroom. So this can happen through the teachers. And when you can do that in the classroom, that can impact the whole school when all the classrooms can do that. When multiple schools can do that, that's exactly where families come into picture and the communities come into picture. Multiple communities forms probably the city or the town or the state, and then end of the day the country. So this has to be more like a mandate in each and every school from the desk or the bench where the students are sitting. Literally in maths period or science period or any class, SEL can be implemented. Let's go forward and understand this quickly, teachers. So self-awareness is a key competency that we were talking about. It's the ability to understand one's own emotions, thoughts, and values, and how they influence behavior across context. Sometimes while we talk to people, we're not really aware about what we're speaking. It just comes out. And then you think about it, and then you're like, I didn't mean to say that. I did not even know how it came out of my mouth. The ability of somebody to be conscious about what they're speaking is an important skill set and coming under the category of self-awareness. So, for example, this includes, integrating personal and social identities, identifying personal, cultural, and linguistic assets, one's emotions. You remember we spoke about the basic emotions, the six basic emotions in our previous sessions where we talked about Inside Out as a movie also, right? The anger, the happiness, the disgust, and the embarrassment, I guess, and sadness, etc., etc. So yeah, that's a difference. So basically, we are talking about identification of your emotions and being aware. I'm sad right now. And when you're aware that you're sad right now, automatically decision making becomes easy. When I'm sad, I'm not supposed to be angry. I'm prone to anger. So let me relax a little. Better to go out of the home rather than shout at my parents, shout at my spouse. Let me keep calm and I just go out. There is something called as venting out anger. No, venting out anger is just because you're not aware about yourself at that particular moment. We'll talk about this in detail a little later. Next is self-management. So once you're self-aware, it's all about managing your emotions, which comes under this. So basically, abilities to manage one's emotions, thoughts, behaviors effectively in different situations and to achieve goals and aspirations. For that, managing one's emotions, identifying using stress management strategies, setting personal and collective goals, self-discipline and self-motivation comes under this category. People say, na, motivation does not actually remain for a long time. Discipline remains for a long time. So do not aspire to be motivated all the time. Yeah. Aspire to be disciplined all the time. So it's a very nice point. Discipline is all about even when you do not want to do something right now, you still do it because it's for your better future. Delayed gratification. All these comes under the category of discipline. And then showing the courage to take initiative, etc. This is self-management. I'm showing all these because we're going to quickly have an activity right now. Responsible decision making is all about the abilities to make caring, constructive choices about personal behavior and social interactions. Uh, One of the examples that we keep discussing is whenever a cat crosses the road, you generally wait for some time, right? Or else you drink water and then you start. So basically, some of us wait so that person can go. So there's a thought in our mind. It's like, "Beta, usko mujhe rukne do." And it's like, uska zindagi gaya, jaane do. I mean, it's like, I don't want to use some what's this kind of colloquial nature, but the point is you kind of wait for another person to cross. Is that respecting? There is a lag. Okay, that's because of the internet, I guess. Just the moment, teachers. It will not lag anymore, I guess. I hope it doesn't lag anymore. No, it will not lag. Okay. The next category is called as the relationship skills. So the abilities to establish and maintain healthy and supportive relationships to effectively navigate settings with diverse individuals and groups. So this is actually very crucial. Uh, th- some people now, when they talk, they like, hey, this guy is really nice. This girl is really nice. I feel like talking to him or her all day. But there are some people where I just don't want to talk to this fellow. You know, so these are two extremes that we're talking about, and I think the relationship of a person, even if that's a stranger, it heavily depends on the personality that you carry. It also depends on the people say that to be an aura, AURA. Particular person's aura is so beautiful that I feel like sitting along with them and talking for a very long time and things like that. When you try to maintain positive relationship with almost everyone that you come across, maybe the fruit vendor or the rickshaw guys, or you just don't get angry. You're like, that's okay, relax, that's okay, that's fine. You're doing a mistake. I'm aware about it, and you'll get that back. But I don't want to spoil my mood by getting angry on you right now. Something like that kind of encourages a positive vibe in you. And this is a very detailed thank you, Nisha ma'am. Actually talking about this particular aspect. But anyways, let's quickly talk. Communicating effectively, developing positive relationships, demonstrating cultural competency. It's about knowing that there is a festival happening over here. Maybe it's not part of my religion, but I kind of love it. It's like knowing and realizing the differences and respecting that. Saying that there are no differences is actually kind of offensive. It's like, let's accept there are multiple differences among us, but I still love you. I still like you. How about that? That's coming under the category of cultural competencies. Then resisting negative social pressure, showing leadership in groups, taking initiatives. You don't need to have cap on you. It's like, I am the principal. No. Every teacher can be a leader. Every student can be a leader in initiating any task. Anybody who takes that one step extra to do something new for the productivity of themselves and the others could be considered as leaders, standing up for the rights of others, etc., etc. It's coming under relationship skills. Thank you so much, teachers. That's lovely. Social awareness is about external, aspects. The abilities to understand the perspectives of and empathize with others, including those from diverse backgrounds, cultures, and contexts. So this includes the capacities to feel compassion for others. So sometimes when you watch a movie, and especially when it is emotional in nature, you kind of, empathize on that. You kind of start imagining yourself in that position, and you're like, oh, good that it didn't happen with me, or should have good, or good that it's happening with me. Any movie for that matter. Those movies are kind of inspirational. And sometimes you even cry after watching a movie, kind of emotional movies. So now these directly relate to the way you empathize yourself with the character that's being portrayed. It's like taking others' perspectives. उसको कैसा लगता होगा? हमने गलत किया, मुझे ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए था, क्योंकि मुझे बुरा लग रहा है तो obviously उनको भी बुरा लगेगा. They will also feel bad about it. Something like that. Understanding and expressing gratitude. Thanking is an important aspect. Appreciating someone is an important aspect under this particular categories. Yeah, all these are social awareness. Let's go with the next one. Okay, now I would like to quickly, put some scenarios, and I would like to request the teachers out there to tell me what scenario these are. So for that, okay, the first one, student Rahul. Let's just imaginary person Rahul often gets frustrated when he doesn't understand something right away in math class. He believes he's just not good at math and that nothing can change this. As a result, he avoids participation. Can somebody say that? Somebody, what competency does it come under? I would like to quickly show you all the competencies. It's self-awareness, social awareness, relationship skills, self-management, and responsible decision making. I'll go forward. I'll go forward. A student, Rahul, often gets frustrated when he doesn't understand something right away in math class. He believes he's just not good at math and that nothing can change this. As a result, he avoids participating, gives up easily. Is this about self-management? No, he's giving up on himself. He's actually kind of talking to himself. He's not managing that. He's already given up. It's more under the category of self-awareness. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. It is actually coming under the category of self-awareness. Sridevi ma'am, Sunita ma'am, you're absolutely correct. Rohini ma'am. Let's go to the next one. Next one. Yeah, here we. Student Maya. Okay, watch this. Watch this carefully. Frequently interrupts the class because she finds it hard to manage her excitement when a topic interests her. You would have seen that some students, they'll jump and raise their hands and simultaneously shout the answer. Her inability to regulate her emotions disrupts the flow of the class and affects other students' focus. What category does it fall under? Exactly. You're absolutely correct. It's about remembrance or realization of what emotions you're going through and managing that. That's why it comes under the category of self-management. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. Scenario number 3. Watch this carefully, teachers. A new student, Ahmed, has recently moved to your school from another country. He feels isolated because he's not familiar with the language and culture. This is kind of not only the country in India, even if you change the state, you can experience this. Is reluctant to engage in group work or class discussions, and the other students don't seem to notice his discomfort. What category does this come under, teachers? Come on. It's about the dependence on external factors. Okay, you're very close. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. Some people say relationship skills, some people say social awareness. Okay. So let's not conclude on this. We'll go with another example and then we'll conclude on this. So Ahmad has recently moved to your school. So basically, when you move from one state to another, you kind of find it difficult to blend in. Blend is the right word, right? And then that's like you don't really socialize that well. So exactly. Inability to socialize. So does that mean it's relationship skills? No, it's actually social awareness. You're absolutely correct. So it's new. You're not really there. Relationship skills come under the category where you're trying to establish the friendship after spending some time. Let's go with one example. You will get an idea. Two students, look at this. Priya and Arjun, who usually get along well, have started arguing over small things during group projects. The conflict is escalating and their friendship is being affected, disrupting their collaboration. Now, this comes under the category of, come on, you know this. Yeah, this comes under the category of relationship skills. Absolutely. So here it is about Priya and Arjun who already had a certain relationship. So it's not about something that they're doing for the first time. They've already, known each other and they're speaking to each other. So from that perspective, so it's about managing their existing relationships. That's why relationship skills. See, all these competencies are very closely related to each other. For a layman, probably it will not be much different from each other. But as a teacher, or as I would say, a teacher also carries this hat of a psychologist to a large extent. We need to be in clear realization with all the differences. And that's the reason we're coming up with all these answers. Let's go with one more. One more, the last one. A group of students is caught cheating during a science test. They claim they felt pressure to get good grades and didn't see any other way to succeed. They don't seem to fully understand the consequences of their actions. Almost all are interlinked. Yeah, you're right. Nice. Absolutely. Can somebody tell me what this comes under? A group of students is caught cheating during this science test. Okay. They claim they felt pressured to get good grades and didn't see any other way to succeed. They don't seem to fully understand the consequences of their actions. Is it about okay. Yeah, you're all right. Correct. So this is about somebody, doing something uh consciously, right? This is something called as responsible decision making. You're absolutely correct, teachers. This is actually coming under decision making or responsible decision making. I hope you got an idea. Yeah. So in order to actually talk to the students on, social emotional learning, these could be some of the activities you can ask them to share. In fact, many schools, even now, I have seen teachers asking the students to share the different boxes. One of the days are dedicated actually. Otherwise, the parents complete. मैं अच्छा खाना बना के देती हूँ और आप सब बच्चे को बांट देते हो. You know, something like that. I've faced this in some of the parent teachers meetings. Cooperating, especially in the teamwork activities, listening is an important attribute, very, very important. Following directions and instructions inculcates the listening skills and leadership skills. Respecting personal space, not to make someone uncomfortable. Making eye contact is very important. When you're able to talk to someone looking at their eyes, right through their eyes, it's a mark or sign of great confidence, great self-esteem, and great self-confidence. And using manners. Yeah, if you have self-confidence, if you follow directions, if you're sharing, if you're listening, if you're cooperating, obviously your manners should be good. I hope so. Yeah, that's with respect to this. Okay. Now, this is one of the stories that is there in the NCRT portal. I'm not playing that right now. So NCRT portal conducted this on mental well-being, and it's about a girl singing a song and showing that she's quite talented and she can fit in. While this video is not completely about, I would say, it's more like a motivational video. And this girl, according to the video, was able to thrive among the students because she had a talent. Does that really mean that if you do not have the talent, you cannot thrive within the other students? So yeah, so this particular video I'm not playing due to deliberate reasons. And let's go forward. Let's go forward. Let's go forward. Uh, Now we are coming to basically, these are the two initiatives. One was called as Manodarpan, another is Sahyog. So Manodarpan was basically launched during the COVID times. People felt that COVID times may people are not engaging with each other, they're not able to interact with each other. It kind of got them into the emotional state of being was very pathetic at that particular time. You all know, you're spending most of your time in the closed environment. How would it feel like? So, anyways, so these are some of the videos or initiatives taken by Government of India. And once you get into Manodarpan website, there you have a separate video set on SEL as well. And the same thing is present in Sayog also, the same video, in fact. But if you want to see all of these, you could actually find it in I would say the NCRT YouTube page itself. Yeah. Now, actually, I would like to in the concluding points for the next 15 minutes, I would like to talk to an SCL practitioner, a life coach, and this is going to be quite insightful for most of the people out there. So here in this case, whenever we talk about social and emotional learning, it's important for us to meet the right personality. Whatever I'm speaking, it's just the research on various websites, and I'm not the right person to speak about. So the person whom I'm going to introduce is basically a multifaceted professional, posting certification as a transformational life coach, mental wellness trainer, trauma-informed counselor, a child and a student counselor. In fact, if there are schools across, and if you would like to have conversations with her, kindly get in touch with her on the links that are going to come on the chat right away. Yeah. She is a founder of Soul Prosperity, a leading provider of mental wellness solutions. She specializes in promoting social emotional learning among children and students, and of course, teachers. With over 2 decades of experience working with children and youth, Susan Ma'am utilizes storytelling and creative arts in school getting settings and workshops to foster emotional intelligence and growth. Beyond her dedication to mental wellness, Susan has demonstrated versatility in entrepreneurship and corporate environments. Additionally, she is deeply committed to community support, running the Single and Strong Support Group for Single Women, actively participating in animal welfare efforts as a rescuer and trustee member of the NGO's Sarva. Grounded in spirituality, Susan serves as an ordained pastor at Life in Grace Ministries, embodying her holistic approach to life and services. So I would like to welcome Susan ma'am on board. And for that, I think you will be able to see her video right away. Okay. Uh, I'm just adding spotlight. Great. Susan ma'am, very good morning. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you're able to hear us clearly.
Good morning. I'm able to hear you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Susan ma'am. So today we were talking about the concept of social and emotional learning, and we wanted to talk to an expert who has been involved in this field for quite some time. And I
Right.
think looking at your profile and with the basic interaction that we had in the past, you've been into it for quite some time. Am I right,
Yes.
ma'am?
Yes. It's been quite a good journey working with children, especially with emotional learning. Yes.
Lovely, lovely. So, ma'am, quickly getting on with the topic with respect to social emotional learning, we would like to quickly understand is this particular attribute of SEL separate for different age categories, or is it like the 5 competencies that we discussed is kind of common to all the age categories? Can you please throw some light on how a teacher in different age categories, for example, one of them could be early childhood. Then, as per CBSE, we have something called as foundational category, then
Right.
preparatory, then middle. So a little
Right.
light on that particular area, please.
Definitely. Definitely. You've already covered a lot of ground on this, on the basics. So, children are divided into age groups. Right? And these age groups require specific attention. So the first one is early childhood. We would say ages between 3 to 5. And then we have middle childhood, teachers that teach to ages between 6 to 8. Then we have late childhood. These are students from the age group of 9 to 12. And then we have the adolescence, which is the teenage, the most dreaded among parents and teachers equally, right? So these are the different categories that people in academics and psychology use. And
Are you sitting just besides a flight and speaking?
yeah, so there is an air show in Chennai and they're all
Oh, that's right. Yeah, today
going
there's an
through
air
fear
show in
for it.
Chennai.
So
You're right.
that's
You're right.
what's
You're right.
happening.
Great. Please
Yes,
go
and this
ahead.
happens to us teachers also, right? In the classroom, we come in so prepared, and then there's something that a child suddenly drops on us and we get so worried and we're not prepared. We don't know what to do, right? And that's how I think SEL really helps us to not be surprised by what some of these children can really throw at us from an emotional and mental standpoint. So going back to the different
Age
age
categories.
categories, right? So each of these categories definitely have specialized ways in which a teacher or a parent should be able to interact in terms of social emotional learning, right? Their emotional buildup is very different for each age group, and I'm sure most of the teachers here who are parents would agree with that. And as teachers also, you'd agree that their emotional and mental buildup is very different for each category, right? So for an early childhood, they are developing basic emotional awareness and expressions, right? And they're learning to identify and label feelings, and they're beginning to understand and respond to emotions of others. So that is your 3 to 5. And next is 6 to 8, where they have an increased ability to manage emotions and recognize certain triggers. And then they develop empathy and they are starting to understand social norms. And then you have the next thing, late childhood. They have a little bit more advanced emotional regulation strategies. They build strategies. Okay, this can be positive and negative. So to have a positive impact at this time is extremely important because they're learning strategies. And this is where, kind of guiding them in the right direction helps them build positive strategies. Otherwise, these strategies can become very toxic character traits as they grow. And then you have, of course, the adolescent, where they have a deep understanding of complex emotions and understanding, and they have increased independence in decision making and responsibility. And they are also fostering resilience, coping mechanisms, how to cope with stress and challenges. All of this happens in the teenage years. Back to you, Vasu.
I understand these categories, ma'am, and I think more than the parents, even teachers play an important role with the way you're speaking. But as parents and teachers, the moment we talk about it, most of us we also have this, and doubt, I would say simply that is the quality of an emotion of a particular person is kind of there in the genes of the students, or is it like, I mean, is it genetic in nature? Like my father is quite patient, so obviously the son is going to be quite patient in their life, or is it going to be more from the perspective of external environment?
Okay. So emotions are a combination of both. You have innate emotions,
Right.
INNATE, innate emotions, and
Okay.
learned emotions.
Okay.
Okay. So innate emotions are emotions which you spoke about earlier, Vasu. Happiness, sadness, fear, anger, surprise, disgust. All of these you are born with, but you have to have the right environment on how you bring those out. Right? Then you have learned emotions.
Mhm.
I hope these airplanes are not, jets are not
No,
troubling us too much.
not
Okay.
much. Not much.
Emotions have both a biological foundation and a social context. Okay.
Okay.
So it has both innate and learned. So though
Okay.
these emotions are inside of us, they a child learns how to bring it out. And that's where an SEL in school or a home environment, all of these environments play a very vital role on how the child brings out the innate emotions that are inside. And to your point, you're saying, how does a DNA buildup affect or impact emotional and mental buildup of a child? It does impact. All right. There are certain children that may be very empathetic, and you will hear somebody saying, like my daughter says, she says, I tend to go back to the same people and tend to get hurt. I think I get it from my father. Whereas you, now, mom, you just cut people off. So even children recognize that they kind of pick up certain things from their DNA buildup or from their parents. It could be acquired as they watch their parents, or it could be something inbuilt. But according to neuroscience, which I strongly practice and learn, and I'm a student of neuroscience, it says that no matter, even your DNA can be altered. So when you work on yourself, right, you can even get rid of some of those very negative things that we may have picked up along our childhood or our developing years.
Got it. Got it. So you really can't put the blame on your parents for your wrong attitude, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one important, most of the teachers that we are kind of exposed to right now is the influence of technology that we have. It's like right now we can't avoid even this particular session got enabled because of the
Absolutely.
access of technology, right? But there are some studies that very clearly prove that technology has got direct, its adverse effects on the behavior and emotional well-being of a particular child. Could you please
That's
throw some light on that particular area, ma'am?
That's right. You are a specialist in the computer uh, part of,
Right.
of teaching at schools on
Yeah.
computers and all of that. And so
Right.
we know that computers are here to stay and they're
Correct.
going to be developed more and more. And people are wanting to learn AI and all of that is already here. We cannot get rid of it. We
Correct.
need it. So integration with technology, social emotional learning, emotions of a child, the mental buildup of a child is right now very much impacted by our technology
Technology.
devices which we're using. It can be both positive and negative, right? What are some of the negative things is that there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of overexposure. I remember speaking at a school in Yeligiri where the teachers said, or the management said to me, we want you to come help our teachers because they're scared to enter the classroom because they feel like the children know more. And that is the impact of technology and devices, right? They read up more, they know more. And so many teachers are scared to, kind of come into a classroom, especially with these teenagers, right? Like we know it all, we've read it all, kind of a thing. But it is important. So how can we bring that balance is very important. SEL helps students to navigate online communications because there's a
Oh,
lot of things happening online which a teacher or a student or a parent might not have much control on, but social emotional learning can help a teacher to bring this across, that how we can navigate online communications, understanding digital citizenship, and to build emotional intelligence in a digital age. Social emotional learning actually tackles all of this. Okay,
correct.
so how technology does not have to be a negative thing. It doesn't have to be negative. We need it, and we can make it a very positive experience for students for their future also. And that a social emotional learning or training for teachers can help them understand that, and they can send that back for the parents also to be able to incorporate that in their everyday lives. So it helps students.
Great. So it's kind of you can't avoid it. We know that, but at the same time, if it is there, I think along with digital citizenship, uh, uh, then probably with a little bit of or a lot of SEL classes, this can be
Right.
moderated for a positive outlook, right?
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely.
So that brings me to the last question actually with respect to this might not be actually true in many teachers' case when they say that the day I tell my child or the time when I tell my child do not use the mobile phone, that's exactly the time the children actually pick up their mobile phones and start playing games. And this especially happens in this age category of probably from 13 to 18. We call that as teenage, 13 to 19. So how do we address this aspect of adolescent students or teenage students in terms of SEL?
Definitely any child. One of the things I say in most of my SEL trainings is that the minute you tell a child, do not do it, that's the first thing they're going to do. All right.
Correct,
They want
correct,
to think. So the best way to incorporate is to give them knowledge. Nowadays, part of the SEL training is to equip teachers to have open discussions and conversations. Have, especially with adolescents, we can have small group discussions where you break them up into groups and say, can you give me, let's have this as a topic of discussion. Can you come up with pros and cons of what is good and what is bad with using the internet? Like throw it on back onto them to come up with it. And when they realize that they have choices to make, it becomes more of a positive environment for them to say, okay, maybe this is something I should not kind of engage with, rather than to just say a blind no, right? So instead, to
okay,
engage with them and to partner with them, to kind of pull them in to partner with you to say, hey, what do you think about this? The same thing goes with parents also, right? And that is a very effective, also an SEL management thing where SEL says open discussions. It is part of SEL. One of the techniques, right, is to open up discussions, pull them into it. put it onto them and say, what do you have to say about this? Right? And then divide them into groups, and you will be surprised with the kind of things they'll come up with. And then say, can we incorporate this? A kind of a buddy system.
Correct.
And you will see how beautifully it works, especially with adolescents, as we were talking about teenagers, to have some kind
Right.
of an accountability buddy system where you see, okay, now this week we'll see how many times we've used your phone, or how many times you have less, or how many hours have you used it lesser, right? And why have you used it? So such things really help to control this and to bring it into a
Lovely.
positive environment.
Exactly. That's nice. So basically, this friend zoning the students, probably by the counselors or by the teachers, it's again quite a challenging task. But because we have seen that the students get along with a stranger better than the parents, quite a scenario. I think that's how CBSE came up with the circular on having counselors in the school and showing quite a great positive impact on that particular regard. So that actually brings me to the timeline, ma'am, and we've got a lot of insights from you. Would you be open to programs in schools if there is anything related to emotional development and counselors meeting or something like that? Our teachers
Absolutely.
would try to get in touch with you. Would that be
Absolutely,
fine?
absolutely. That is my main line of work, working with children, creating programs, SEL programs, which help teachers, because my main aim is to equip teachers so they have a better experience when they go into the classrooms, because they have families, they have their own things to do, right? And to carry the extra burden of 30 to 60 children is not easy. So, as Soul Prosperity, especially with children's needs, we are here to equip teachers through social emotional learning. So please do reach out. I'm sure we'd love to help you in your school environments.
Lovely, lovely. So, teachers, I'm just sharing the contact details of Susan, ma'am, on the chat. If anybody is interested, you can actually check her LinkedIn page and directly get in touch, or you can check her website to get more about more insights about her work. And I think she travels all along, just like me, to conduct sessions here and there. And I think that'll be a great insight. So, Susan, ma'am, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so
Thank you
much for
so much.
being on a Sunday. It really means a lot, and I hope our conversation, brief conversation, and with some questions, the teachers would have gained certain insights. Yeah,
Thank you so much, Vasu. Thank you, all the teachers and listeners.
great. So, hope to get in touch with you again, ma'am, in some other session. And as of now, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I'll see you in the next session. Yeah. Thank you. So, teachers, that brings me to the end of the session. I would like to quickly mention that SEL can be learned from the CASEL website, CASEL, and it could also be learned from another fantastic education platform called as PBS Learning Media. P for Punjab, B for Bangladesh, and S for Singapore. Yeah, PBS Learning Media. And it has got a very detailed course on social and emotional learning, SEL. CASEL in itself is an organization dedicated for social and emotional learning. This is just the brim of an iceberg, or they call it, right? The tip of the iceberg. So SEL is a detailed topic. I would request everybody to please get into the details. Watch the counselors conclave organized by CBSE. That will give you another perspective on how you can be a teacher and also an SEL practitioner. Yeah. Thank you so much, teachers. Great interacting with one and all. It was a lovely meeting on another Super Sunday workshop. We have completed 81 workshops so far. I'll meet you with another interesting topic with another guest speaker, adding lots and lots of values to every Sunday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. I'll respect the consistency of all the people out there and, of course, your time. Thank you and your family members for sitting along with you to watch this. I would like to meet you in the next Super Sunday workshop. Until then, Jai Hind. Have a Super Sunday, teachers. Spend time with your family. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much. Urmi, ma'am, you will receive your certificate on Tuesday. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. If there is a query, you can put it on the chat. Thank you, Silva, ma'am. Good to see you after a long time. Thank you, Anjana, ma'am. Rajeshwari, ma'am. Thank you so much. The reflection form is there on the chat. The questions are a little tricky on the reflection form today. Be careful while answering it. 7 and above until today midnight, you'll get your certificate. Right? Thank you. Thank you so much. Vandana, ma'am, I missed your query, ma'am. Could you please copy paste it once more? I'm so sorry. Happy Durga Puja to everyone, by the way. Most of the schools are on vacations right now, right? It's PBS. It's single B. P for, yeah, PBS. You can type PBS Learning Media just for the benefit of the time or being conscious of the time. I'm not opening that directly, but let me share the link right now. If you're there in the session, you could have an access to it. I'm sharing the link right away. It's a proper course on social and emotional learning. It's a very detailed course, in fact, and they even provide the certificate right after completing it. So the link is on the chat. You'll be able to see it right now. Yeah, PBS Learning Media. Sulba ma'am, I hope you got it. Oh, Parna Sangupta ma'am, thank you so much. No, no, Shalini ma'am, only reflection form. How to resolve groupism and exclusion among students. That's a fantastic topic, ma'am. So actually, you can't avoid it, and I think somewhere it could be encouraged to quite some extent, provided it's kind of productive. So there are a lot of team building activities that needs to be regularly encouraged in the students. It's like, you know, I would frankly, most of my social skills of getting along with all the groups in a simple manner, I got to learn that because of my English teacher who kept on assigning multiple tasks, but I was partnered with multiple other people. The first will be one group, and then next month there's another group formed. All the people are different, and it keeps on happening. And I started realizing that many people are different. There are many good people, bad people, and I get along with this set of people very well. So that's my group. So that's kind of realizing that I'm in one, I belong to a certain group, but at the same time respecting the other groups as well. I think that could be one good activity. However, when we talk about exclusion, it's more of a emotional trigger of a particular child. It's like probably it could come under the category of bullying as well if you're really troubling the child by excluding based on their color or based on their behavior, or it could be anything. Yeah, that has to be addressed in a little different manner. I'm really not sure, what could be the right suggestion. If other teachers want to collaborate, they can put it on the chat. Nobody wants to be part of a team of a particular student. Mhm, mhm. We need to find an activity to include that particular student. Make sure that student creates a difference in that particular group in order to be successful with the activity that you're giving. Yeah, the gradual effort, ma'am. It's going to take some time. Yeah, today's questions are really tricky, teachers. You're absolutely right. For training teachers on basic counseling skills. Wow, that's amazing. That's lovely. Which school are you from, ma'am? Like, Ritu, ma'am, Ritu Gupta, ma'am. That's an interesting news to hear about. Sumandra Roy, sir. You can write an email to CBSE asking the same question, sir. I'm clearly not aware about it. Uh-huh. Thank you, Sulva. Great week to you. AC Public School. Oh, Jammu Ritu, ma'am. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, great. Good to see some initiatives in the school level as well. So certificate criteria is you need to score 7 and above. 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. That should be your score. And you should complete the reflection form before tonight. Yes, you're right. Okay, that's it. Well, I'm in Chennai actually this time. And hope to see you very soon in the next Super Sunday workshop, probably in some other location. Thank you so much, teachers. Have a good day. Bye, everyone. To CSTA, the first thing that they introduced was actually constants and then the variables.
Principles of competency-based learning and an interdisciplinary approach to coding, physical computing, and STEM education, SuperTeacher has made a significant impact.
Coding is more like a concept. It's more like a psychology and thinking skills. It can be taught. Forget about all these parameters. We are the first people to know what exactly Bitcoin means. Have you heard of this platform called as code.org? Yes, tower under the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean. There are multiple towers and there's a tower nearby our moon. From there to moon and then to Earth. Then to Earth.
CSS is a revolutionary professional development program